Don't worry, I'll give you a good slap. Oh, well, slamming you. Clap it. Alright. Your first beginner Gunlance. Your first Gunlance that you're probably going to pick up is the Pink Rathian Gunlance. I think it's probably your... This and the one I was just using are your go-to Gunlances. So first things first. Every Gunlance you're using that you're using shots with... Iron Gunlance... Well, no... I'll ban you all night. No, you want to use the artillery skill at level 3, no matter what. It gives you a substantial boost to your shelling damage, and it reduces your Wyvern Fire cooldown. Now, Wyvern Fire, I rarely use it as part of, like, the actual hunt. If a monster's put to sleep, or goes to sleep, and we're barrel bombing its face, that's when I'll use it. I'll use it for wake-ups. You also want the capacity boost skill. So, artillery, capacity boost. Those are your two shelling-oriented Gunlance skills. Now, the first type of Gunlance we're going to look at with the Pink Rathian Gunlance is a normal Gunlance. And if you're running the normal Gunlance, you're also going to want your DPS skills. So that's why we're running, you know, attack 4, so we get that 5% crit. We have critical at 3, we still have crit boost and weakness exploit. So whatever DPS skills you can get, you're still going to go for with this. You're just going to work artillery and capacity boost in. So yeah, with this we have, I think it's 80% crit chance on a weak point. So, there are 3 shelling types. There's normal, long, and wide. We have a normal Gunlance right now. Normal Gunlances have 5 shells by default, 6 with capacity boost. The shells themselves deal the lowest damage of the individual shells. But when you do the shotgun attack that the Gunlance has, normal gets a damage bonus because of the number of shells it has. So the way you get to the shotgun is that combo. And then we basically can do it infinitely with this. So you want to do both your attack buttons, or you can do it after the running, the lunging up thrust. You can do the overhead smash with both your attack buttons. But the point is, the slam attack here gives you your shotgun. And you can follow it up with the wide sweep, quick reload, slam, shotgun, slap, quick reload, slam, shotgun, repeat infinitely. The reason I say this is the most approachable form of Gunlancing is the Pink Rathian Gunlance. Because the other thing you have to keep track of is there is a shelling level on your Gunlance. So if you look here, we have shelling type as normal, like I said, and it's level 4. The highest right now is level 4 for each shelling type. And this is the craftable level 4 for normal with the Gunlance. Which is why it's probably the first Gunlance I would recommend you go and get. And you get this, like, pretty awesome combo out of it, right? Now, the problem with this combo is the actual shotgun part chews through sharpness like crazy. Yeah, I definitely recommend this one. It also is, like, it's not a bad weapon, because you can still, if you don't do the shotguns, this is slap lancing. This is where you're basically rotating through this without the actual shotgun part. And you can do that with any Gunlance. And this is where you get into, like, using maybe the Lunastra Gunlance or the Devil Joe Gunlance. And that actually is the most sharp, one of the most sharpness efficient combos in the game. Because it literally is just 3 hits, and it's very high motion values. So you deal a lot of damage, and your sharpness gauge barely moves. Especially because we have Razor Sharp. Now, the problem with this is you commit a lot to these animations. So we would have trouble evading in between all of that. So, like, I would never use this style against, like, Arc-Tempered Nergigante. I'd use it against normal Nergigante, because this could actually, like, bust his spikes pretty quickly for hitting, like, one arm. But you just gotta be aware you're committing a lot to your animations, so it's a little on the unsafe side. Yeah, things you should avoid with this one is if you just keep pressing the attack button, the top face button, you will eventually use the Wormstake Cannon. And the Wormstake Cannon, I avoid it like the plague. I think the move is actually one of the worst in the game, mostly because of the animation commitment to actually getting it off. Because you inject it, it can miss, like it missed there. Like, and then you're stuck in your recoil animation, and then your the damage on it is not that great, and you can't combo after it. You also can get to it by doing 3 shells, but you can see how long it takes us to move. And that's why I don't really like the Wormstake blast thing that's coming up. I actually think the Gunlance probably going to be one of the weaker Iceborne weapons. Because everything else is getting these new awesome moves, and the Gunlance gets another Wormstake. And unless that thing deals like barrel bombs worth of damage, it's not going to be that great. Okay, there's one time I'll do it. If a monster is running away, and I think I can get away with getting the hit, I'll do it. Here, I just want to point out that it is a very tiny hitbox on it. Let me take a step back. Oh, actually, no, we can just do this. So, if we're like, I think here maybe, the shots hit, Wormstake didn't. So, the Wormstake, it will actually, like, miss a lot of the time because it's very, very pinpoint. Tip of the Gunlance needs to actually hit the monster. Not only hit the monster, there's actually the 2 hits in there you have to land. Well, you have to land the second hit. So it's like you have the injection hit, and then you actually have like, well, you have the poke, and then you have the actual injection hit, and it's like you have to actually land that injection hit. So the second Gunlance I recommend, and this is a little different, is the Earthshaker Magna Lahat, and you get this off of Zora Magdaros. The reason I recommend this is it's very easy to make because it's just Zora. You can do Zora in like, what, 5-10 minutes tops. If you know how to fight it efficiently. And long gun lances, you can see you have long level 4. That's why I recommend it. It goes level 4. Long gun lances, the skills we run are a little different. Because on long, we still want artillery and we still want capacity boost. But we also want focus level 3. The reason is we're going to be using the Gunlance's charge shelling. Now, with this style of Gunlance, you are only using shells. So normal, we were doing the slams and the slaps in there with the shells. So it was sort of a mixed style, but the shells were still important. So we still needed artillery. Well, with this, we are not caring about our pokes, our swipes, our slams at all. We're just caring about shelling. That makes this actually really easy to get into, because if you have the artillery charm, the Damascus Mail, and I think it's like Dodogama Greaves, or the High Metal Coil, or a Magazine Jewel, you get Focus 2, you get Capacity Boost 1, and Artillery 3, and you've only used up 3 item slots. So your other 3 slots can go to whatever. I recommend Evade Extender. You can go for Health Boost and Guard. You can go for That Kushala set, I specifically made to fight Kushala Daura. We have 3 Kushala pieces in there, so we have Wind Negate. So we can use that to fight Lunastra and Kushala without having to worry about the wind at all. So you can actually run a lot of weird defensive setups and weird gearing setups with this type of Gunlance. So the basics of this one, so we have our normal shots, right? So you can do a charge shot. Basically what you have to do is you have to do any move input, and then you hold the shot button, and you charge the shot up. Your first shot can never be charged. But what you can do is you can do a shot, and then hold the shot button and charge. You can do a poke, hold the shot button and charge. You can do the running up attack. So long as you're buffering that charge shot, you can buff it off of reloads too. So long as you're buffering that charge shot, you'll get the charge off. Sometimes for me, my circle button is unresponsive, so sometimes you just see me stand there for a second, and that's usually because the button just is not responding. But yeah, you can charge your shot up, and you can do like there. That was a little delay because my circle button, my PS4 controller hates me. But you can do 4 shells in a row. This does not do the worm stake during charge shots. So you can just basically unload a clip into a monster. Oh, right. And the benefit that shots have is they don't actually care about where you hit the monster. You can hit them on the tippy tip of their tail with every single shot, and you'll deal the same amount of damage no matter what. They deal fixed damage, kinda fixed damage. There's fixed damage, and then there's a tiny bit of fire damage on there. But yeah, this is one of the more basic Gunlance things to do. And I say basic because you're basically doing this. Yeah, it's such an insignificant amount of damage, you don't even need to think about it. But yeah, this is also kind of like using a normal lance to me. Because you're essentially doing pokes with a gun. Like normal lance would be like poke, evade, or counter, or whatever. Gunlance, this is basically like poke, and then you start shooting. So you can actually do like very precise things too with it. So like I was aiming kind of for Kushala's head, and because we can do the up poke out of a shield, we can angle our shot up, and that's like perfect for hitting an Elder Dragon's head. Oh yeah, little Gunlance moves before I continue. If you're shielding and you hit circle, you reload, obviously. But if you're shielding and you hit the top face button and you do like your little guard thrust, if you let go of guard and hit circle, you'll do a shell. So this is important for long and wide because it lets you aim the shot up without having to like you can, hey, circle button. There we go. You can aim up like that with both of these moves. But it's just easier to get the up angle when you do the guard shot. Oh yeah, you can also shoot straight in the air. AKA, let's break Xeno'jiiva's horns with a melee weapon easily. And lastly, we have wide. So, wide shells deal the most damage with the individual uncharged shots. So, just shot, poke, shot is pretty much your basic bread and butter with this. You can also poke and shoot, depending on your Gunlance and your gear setup. So, the issue here is wide 4 Wide 4 gun lances are only available from Cove Tiroth right now. In Iceborne, that will probably change, because if I recall correctly, and I might be wrong about this in Generations, but I remember it being a thing in 3U with Lucent Nargacuga. Nargacuga's Gunlance should have wide 5 fully upgraded when we get into Master Rank. But yeah, we have wide 4. Wide 4 is the strongest of the individual shelling shots, but it has the weakest shotgun blast. So you don't pretty much ever want to do that, because it's just the weakest of that shotgun blast. The long one is actually like a middle ground shotgun blast, and it's actually not bad. Like if you're using the Devil Joe Gunlance, you can get away with using the shotgun blast on it, even though it's only long 3, because the Devil Joe Gunlance has very high raw. So this is a Cove weapon. It's a Cove Basil weapon. So it does have blast on it. So eventually we will get a Blast Blight hit off. For wide gun lancing, I recommend, again, doing a split between DPS and shelling. So you want your standard, like, crit stacking with weakness exploit and crit boost, critical eye, attack, hey donuts. But you still want artillery 3 and capacity boost. Oh yeah, long gun lances have 3 shells by default, 4 with capacity boost. Wide only has 2 shells by default and 3 with capacity boost. Yeah, so I do recommend like buffing yourself for normal DPS hits, along with the shelling. Because the thing is, the normal hits, especially for this Gunlance in particular, and actually a lot of the wide 4 Tiroth Gunlances, the actual pokes are pretty nice damage. Now the thing you gotta also remember about the Gunlance is this pole is low rank, and in low rank you actually deal less damage with your shells. So if we were to actually go and hunt a monster with this weapon, the shells would be dealing about the same amount of damage as the pokes are. And again, though, the shells don't care about hit zone. So we can be hitting the monster in wherever and deal proper damage to it. What else? Oh yeah, Wyvern Fire. They are different for each type. Not in terms of appearance, in terms of damage. Wide has the strongest Wyvern Fires. Long has like middle ground Wyvern Fires. And normal technically has the weakest. But you're probably never going to notice. Also, wide has the strongest Worm Stakes. Yeah, the 100s were the charge shells. Yeah, it doesn't matter if the monster's asleep. Oh, yeah. So, the Worm Stake, like I said, wide has the strongest one. I think long is the second strongest on that. Oh, and long has an interesting... There's an interesting thing with long, in that it deals more stagger damage relative to the damage you're doing. So part of the reason I was using that Gunlance against Kushala there was because Kushala's head is a very staggerable head, right? You can knock it down more reliably, more easily than other monsters. So I was using a long Gunlance because it deals more stagger damage to heads, to just everything. So I was using it to actually just abuse Kushala Daura's face. Like I was just blasting its face, and that's the reason I was using it. Yeah, so normal slap long charge, wide, normal charge. Yeah, that's really weird. A really weird way to say that because it's wide, normal slap, long charge. Yeah, so if you have a normal gun lance, you're going to be doing that slap combo with the shotgun in the middle. If you have a long gun lance, you're going to be doing charge shellings. If you have a wide gun lance, you're going to be doing regular shellings. And then you can use pretty much any gun lance in the game as a slap lance. Did I keep it together? I don't think so. Nope. I have the... So like this Mythic Kadachi Striker, technically it's a long gun lance, so we'd want to be doing, you know, charge shellings. But we can actually use it just for slapping a monster that's weak to thunder and chunk in a good amount of damage. I actually think that, with a proper DPS setup, is actually the strongest DPS gun lance in the game in terms of raw numbers. But the problem is you have a massive animation commitment to it. Oh yeah, so like this thing, Carbuster Decay. This is entirely meant to be slapping. Like, we are not going to be using the shelling at all. I don't even have the artillery or capacity skills on here. It is entirely meant to be taking advantage of the slaps for dragon damage. Yeah, it deals a lot of damage. Like, a lot of damage. The thing is, though, the gun lance is actually, like, one of the lowest DPS weapons in the game. Its advantages, though, are it being very weird. Because, like, that is technically the highest DPS comboing for the gun lance. But, like, yeah, I don't care about it either. It's just an interesting factoid. In fact, let's go hunt something with the Cure Bomber. I don't care about it. It's an interesting factoid. And you're never... Well, you're not never, but you'll actually see, like, a mix of it, right? You're gonna... You got a blast after this hunt? Okay. You'll... Like, if you go watch videos, you'll see, like... You'll see a good mix. Like, all the Gunlance speedruns and challenge videos and things. I mean, there are also weird things you can do, like... you can run the Palico Rally skill with the Gunlance because you have open slots, essentially. Because if you're doing artillery and capacity boost with, like, wide shells and you don't care about your pokes, we'll just abuse the Rathlos. Pretty standard practices for me to abuse Rathlos. But if you don't care about your pokes and you just run artillery and capacity boost on a wide gun lance for damage and just rely on your shells, you can equip weird things like Palico Rally to make your Palico like 25% stronger. Oh, I'm bullying Blue Boy. I would assume that's more Find the Bully. Knockdown. Uber, you want to throw in on this? I don't think the hunt has technically started yet because we don't have any music. So Uber is just standing there. Knockdown. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's actually a really good weapon because of stuff like that. Because we just can hit the leg pinpoint and knock the monster down really easily. And then just have our way with Rathlos.